All right, everybody, you guys ready? All right, I'm Stryker, and welcome to the Red Bull Sound Space at KROQ. Did anyone ditch work and you're here illegally? You, it's like half the room. Those of you watching online, hello. Thanks for watching. What an exciting day for this band. This is a hometown band. This is a hometown show. They put out a lot of records. Many of us have been there from day one, even before day one. And just a few days ago, they were playing in front of about 50,000, and now we have 200 people here in our Red Bull Sound Space. Please welcome our good friends, Linkin Park.
You know, this is low-key when I had to ask Stryker if we were going to actually talk or just play music.
Well, since you set up all this time to set up instruments, can we talk just briefly and then you can play the instruments?
Yes. Are you going to play?
Yes, Chester. Hi. Great to see you. Wow. What a day. The hunting party is out.
It's out.
Here it is. All right, Mike, I'm going to ask you on this, and then I'm going to go to Chester after this.
Okay.
I mean, you guys are not rookies, but it still feels like you work as hard as you did 13, 14 years ago, but are there still...
That's the illusion that we want to give you, yes.
It's a great illusion. Yeah. But what about the excitement then to now when you're putting out a new record? It's a huge day right now.
Well, every time we make something, you know, we're trying to keep, first and foremost, I mean, we're trying to keep ourselves excited and trying to do stuff that's challenging and fun and new. And when we were making this album, that's, you know, one of the things that we realized that we kind of wanted, we wanted to listen to something that was more aggressive than maybe what we've been making, maybe than what is going on out there in general in rock. And we wanted to, there was a certain kind of sound of it that we wanted. And so, you know, we spent better part of like maybe 9 or more months making the hunting party, and I think we kind of, you know, realized the vision that we set out to achieve.
And Chester, over this 9 months, was there more frustration? I know that, dude. Was there more frustration, less frustration? Was it easier or more difficult making the hunting party?
I don't know. I took naps the whole time, so it was I was rested. I feel really rested. I'm pretty sure I sang while I was in the studio in between naps. It sounds funny, but it's true. Like I was literally like taking naps on the couch, which I do at every studio since the beginning of time for us. So at every studio we go to, there's a couch that somehow draws me in. It also, crazy enough, it drew Rick Rubin in the beginning too. Like the same couch that I would sleep on, he would sleep on every time.
It's like a nap fight.
It's like it's so funny, but it's true. But in other seriousness, because I was serious about that too. But this record was really cool, and I actually was telling Mike the other day, thanks for deciding to move in a different direction on this record, because when we talk about like listening to what the music wants you to do in the studio, that's kind of like what I kind of think of us as like antennas, like this. The ideas or something, they're out there, and you kind of we hear them first, and I think Mike was really listening to himself and listening to what the music that he wanted to make, and really took the band in a different direction. And producing the album ourselves, I think, had we not been just kind of writing and not really worrying about a producer or whatever, I think that allowed us to make that big U-turn, and it sent us down a road that inspired the entire band. We all got really excited about making these songs. And I always feel like the record we make is the best representation of who we are at that time. I don't think we could have made this record before Hybrid Theory or right afterwards or whatever. I think this is what we can do now. This is what we're excited about doing. And really being in Linkin Park is like, for me, it's like being in a different band every time we make a record. It's like, it's pretty awesome. So I just try to stay out of the way and let the magic happen. And when I'm needed, I'm called upon, and they wake me up from my slumber. And I walk in and I go, ah! And then I walk back out and I go back to sleep. It's great.
All right, you're not feeling that right now while we're talking.
No, I'm ready to go.
Okay, good.
I had a cup of coffee, 2 emergencies or whatever those things are called. I'm ready to go. I had a Red Bull earlier.
Nice. Mike,
Yeah.
Rick
I'm still
Rubin
here.
was not in the room with you, so I would like to know who was the loudest in the room, or not the loudest, who was like, yeah, this is not working, this is working. What was it like without Rick in the room?
Well, I mean, I think that, when we're making an album, generally there's a moment when, the reason we hire a producer is because we want that set of ears that is coming from, like, maybe looking at the big picture, coming from outside the band, looking in. And this album, I felt like we just knew what it needed to be, that we didn't really need somebody else to bounce ideas off of. It was just that sense of, like, we reached a certain point and looked at it and said, we may already be past the point where somebody else would be really helpful. Let's just keep going. And that's not a knock at all on any producer, especially Rick, because, you know, he's given us these, you know, ideas and gifts over the course of our career that have been really, really instrumental in shaping the band. But on this album, we just knew what it was supposed to be.
All right, last few questions, and then we want to see you play live. I look at the back, and I knew this was happening, but you got Darren from System of a Down, you got Tom Morello, you got Paige from Helmet. So you look at Tom Morello and you look at Darren from System. Those are 2 bands, obviously, huge, incredible, influential bands that don't even exist anymore. Which stinks.
Yeah.
Did you discuss with them at all? Not like, why don't you guys do this? But was it like, hold on, we've been together this long. We're going strong. From my perspective, it seems like you guys get along pretty well. But those guys aren't even a band anymore. Did you guys talk about
It's
that at all?
definitely a topic that kind of, like, whether it was directly or indirectly, it came up. And just with Tom, the song with Tom ended up not even having vocals. It's just an instrumental. And it was mostly on there. One of the reasons why I personally wanted it on there is just to remember the conversations and the studio days that we had with him more than actually, like, any kind of output. Like, it's on there because we spent a couple days with Tom and talked about process, talked about, you know, being in a band and doing what we all do and how different that can be. Because believe it or not, like, each of the people on the album and the people we worked with in the past, everybody kind of arrives at, you know, their creative process kind of from scratch in a lot of ways, or at least coming from different perspectives. So the way, even if 2 bands were to sound similar, like at the end of the day, oftentimes the way they make that sound or make those songs is not the same thing. And we talked about all that stuff with the guys, and the subjects of, like, you know, group dynamics and, like, personalities and stuff did kind of come up. It definitely for us, I think it gave us an appreciation for, you know, what we've got, the dynamic we've got, and being able to, because we have arguments too. Like, we have difficult times in conversations, and
It's like, dude, I don't want sushi again, bro. Like, we had it 3 times this week. Can we have, like, Zinku chicken or something, like, instead?
That's an actual.
Because we've had it, like, all week. Is that cool? And
Phoenix.
you know, usually we find a way to get through it, and it works out really well.
This man, Phoenix, you guys know Phoenix right here?
You calling me out, Striker?
Yes, I would like everyone to speak, and it's not that often I get to talk to everyone at once, and I know we want to see them play, but just a few more questions. So, I mean, you guys play in front of 70,000, 80,000, even more than that. Here we are in front of 250, but I would like to know for you, your personal favorite early show you guys did. Maybe because it was great, or it stunk, or there were 20 people there. What do you remember about some of the early shows when you were a part of the band?
Did you mean that there's 250,000 people here? Is that?
Watching, there's 250,000.
I think I don't know, there's a lot of early show memories. One of the fun things, though, for us starting out was that Brad and I were going to school at UCLA, so we were right here in the LA area. Go Bruins. And we used to play at the Roxy and the Whiskey starting out. A lot of people don't realize it, but at least back in that day, you kind of had to sell your own tickets. So to do that, we'd have to buy our way onto the bill. So you pay $2,000, you're given 200 tickets, you can sell them for whatever you want. You know, if you can sell them for $12, then you make some money. If you sell them for $2, then you obviously lose a lot of money. And we used to set it up to where we'd have a party at our apartment in Westwood, but the only way you could get into the party was that you'd have to go to the show first. And so that was our way of selling tickets to actually try to fill those clubs. And I remember we'd play at most, at least early on, we'd play.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brad.
You remember the guy that?
Brad.
You remember the guy that threw up on our carpet? And when you show a dog what he did, I showed him the throw up, and I made him clean up his own throw up.
That's Brad. Does that?
You say that's Brad? Like, literally, that's Brad.
Yeah, that's Brad.
That's the Ness of Brad.
I don't know if that translated as well if you're listening on radio, potentially. But that was Brad who just showed up and shared that portion.
Talking about throwing up and you guys.
And then he disappeared. He's gone.
I don't
know where he is. Yeah, but that for us, that was a lot of fun. We have a lot of fond memories of kind of growing up, not only as a band, but as guys in the area around here. And thankfully now, I mean, UCLA, yes. Thankfully now, we don't have to trick you guys into coming out with a party afterwards. But
we have a party at your place tonight.
Should you so want, and you promise not to throw up on the carpet, Brad has invited you over after this show.
Excellent. All right, last couple of things. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Johan right here. You guys are going to be doing shows with 30 Seconds to Mars and AFI. Have you seen any of the films Jared has done? You being a director and the guy that you are, have you seen any of his movies?
Yeah.
Ladies and
I've seen
gentlemen.
them, yes. He's a good actor.
Yeah, he's a pretty good actor.
Yeah, he's very pretty.
What are you working on anything, movies outside of music? Do you have anything in your head? Are you develop anything? Are you creating something in your little bubble that you live in? Because you do so many different cool things.
Yeah.
You're making me look like an expert right now, Joe. Do you know that?
I shot a movie called Mall, which is coming out this fall. And I'm trying to think of something that rhymes with that. But yeah, it's a story about these people that hang out at a mall, and there's a shooting that happens, and how everyone deals with everything going on, and they're really messed up people.
Okay.
Kind of like all of you guys.
And this guy plays drums. This is Rob, everybody. I'm gonna hand you the mic, and I'm just gonna ask you one. Oh, you got a mic right there. There you go. What has been the highlight, or what was the highlight for you making this record? Because it seems like you were working your ass off on this record.
Yes, this record was very active on the drums,
right.
which was really, really fun for me, obviously being a drummer. The last couple records we had a lot more electronics going on the album in the rhythm section, so the process of recording the record was really different. We'd kind of write stuff and record it at the same time and work it. I'd work with Mike, and he would do the programming around the live drums or vice versa. And on this record, it was much more similar to like our first records, where I had to personally do a lot of practicing before going into the studio, and we were recording the drums to tape. So when we record it, we had to play the song from beginning to end all the way through, and I had to make it sound like I'd been playing the song for years. So it was a lot of work for me personally. It was a great challenge. The guys in my band obviously pushed me really hard, which at the time I hated them for it, and now I love them for it because I became a better drummer as a result.
Very cool. All right, are you guys ready for music now? All right, the new album is out. It's called The Hunting Party. It's right here. We appreciate them so much for being here today. You know, this is a band that has had a vision, and they just stick to that vision. They don't really veer off the path, and I'm a huge fan of these guys, and they're just so good, and they're so good live. And here they are in the KROQ Red Bull sound space. Linkin Park, everybody. Thank you, guys.